first 5-0 Git, we're gonna have Peter Hilbid. I don't want to mess up your name. Sorry, you get at the Hydra GT3. So let's take a look at what he's doing, right? Let's take a look at what tools, what big gets this guy got on his list. So we have the Big Mek. Big Mek was the most frowned upon character from when he first came out because of his unique confusion, where he wants to buff shooting and melee. Yet he's finally found his place. Who would have known that the one person he needed was Gaz and 20 boys along his side? We didn't see that coming. So but now that we got Gaz thrown in there, boys, everybody was like, well, perfect. His data sheet ability to move through people and re-roll advances is absolutely invaluable now when you got Gaz plus follow me, lads. Of course, this unit is going to be on the table. You're not going to intentionally cut the unit to fit it inside of a battle wagon, and it needs to be on the table to have access to here we go. Right, and people forget that a lot of the time when they look at a list. Whenever you see that, you just know that, right? Keep that as a mental note. Sorry. Then we have an additional Big Mek, and remember, both of these Big Meks have Drillas and Mega Blast. So a lot of people like to know that. I personally like Drillas as well, so nothing wrong with that. Then we have another Ghazghkull, followed by a War Boss, and then another War Boss. So we're actually going for 2 of these mobile moving through screen mobs. Absolutely first time I've seen this. And to be honest, first time we've really even been taken into consideration in most people's minds right now. Even if you're watching this, people were not considering taking double Big Mek bricks and the Gaz and one with the War Boss and just saying, I'm going to full send them all and run right through whatever you got best I can. You're not going to screen all of this. You get that. That's pretty wild. When I first seen that, kind of blew me back. Like, if someone would have told me that, the first thing we would all start saying is, well, you simply can't stack the movement capability from that. So is it really worth it? I guess he proved us that it is. So then we move to the second War Boss. He's going to be going with the Breaka Boyz most likely. So then we have 2 big 20-man units of boys, like I said, with the characters that were aforementioned. 1 truck, followed by 2 battle wagons, both with Ard case. Then we have a Breaka Boy unit, followed by a Burna Boy unit, 2 10-man units of Flash Gitz, 2 trucks, and then 1 unit of Mandos, which we all absolutely love. Commandos. Mandos lead the way, baby. And it's really nice because how they split up in 2. Remember, their war gear goes wherever you decide, including their special war gear, which is their ammo runt and the bomb squig. So put all your nice stuff on the 1 5-man unit, and then put all your wasteful gets in the other, and let those gets get stuck in early, which means get deleted. So how this ends up working out a lot of the time in the transport is you're going to take 1 unit of Flash Gitz and put it in 1 truck. You're going to take the battle wagon, most likely put 1 mob inside of 1, and then put a 10-man unit of Flash Gitz, plus a Burna Boy and a Breaka Boy unit, plus the War Boss. And all of that would fill out to 22. So you have what we like to call a Blitza Wagon. Everybody's familiar with SWAT teams with trucks, right? Where you fill up 1 truck with multiple transport units. Now Orks are running these Blitza Wagons where they're actually just taking killer units, putting in the middle of the field and just dropping nukes on people with these double big bricks spilling out of wagons. Now that doesn't mean they necessarily always stage right in the middle. They could kind of stage on the peripherals, because you do have Gaz right in the middle on this list all the time, taking center building, because you're looking to pop Here We Go for him, and Makari's aura needs to go that way. But as it entails is how the opposing player looks at it, is it goes from just a couple of transports and some mobs moving around to simply there's 50 bodies on the field all simultaneously at once, on top of the 25 that there already were from the 1 Gaz mob. So it gets overwhelming quick, which is what people kind of tend to overlook when they're playing War Horde as well. It's not just about killing people and breaking their back on the Waaagh. When we say break their back, it doesn't mean that you're just automatically won the game on that turn necessarily. It a lot of the time means that you hurt them enough so that they can't take you off the table quick enough for them to come back, and that's why Orks are more of the attrition game than simply I table you game. So it was really interesting to see the double Big Meks here, because that means him delivering these mobs, which is the most important part. If you ever play mobs boys, right? On the Waaagh, you have to make contact with both of these mobs. Very, very rarely in situationally have I seen a player be able to execute by having mobs and then Gaz knots to get stuck in and using Gaz more as a follow-up. In this style of list, both of these mobs are making contact with something. That's really why you also have these flash kits. These flash kits are getting early effective trades, right? For 160 points, the enemy is going to commit something that's worth getting Waaghs called into them. And on that go turn, the second 20-man unit is going to enjoy the Inbone, enjoying Gaz's aura, and then you have that one unit that's doing 2 phases of sustain lethal, which is straight volume, and that gets overwhelming. Absolutely love it. So yeah, and now let's take a look at his path to victory. Always important. People like to know what context did he get to actually get. If you have more questions, of course, let me know in the chat and how else I can let people know about how I think that list works or breaks down. But you guys let me know, right? How many of you guys in your local chats with fellow orc players, I'm lurking around the home community. Do you see people really considering double mechs? So really impressed right here with Peter just to get into it. So happy that people can just say, I'm just going to go all in and just be fast and mobile. Pretty hilarious. Another thing to check out is our sponsor, the Baron of Dice. They make high quality custom dice. If you enjoy our content and want to show some love, check out the Baron of Dice custom dice, including Wall Tactics official dice. To support us, use our discount code in the description for 5% off, because nobody likes taxes. Now let's take a look at this first. We have Necron, Hypercrypt. So we have Khitan, Shard of the Deceiver, Shard of the Nightbringer, Orican, the Diviner, Technomancer, followed by a 20-man unit of 20-man unit of warriors, double flayed ones, 2 locusts, 1 break of wraith, doomsday arc, and a monolith. Did score a fat 97-point win, which is his highest scoring game. Find it very hard for this to really you would think it could contest with 20 Necron warriors, but Necrons have a bad habit of, this is their style of, I'm just going to try to stat check you or try to bait enough of your army with this one wraith brick that when you clap back on this wraith brick, I just don't have enough after I kill you when you've committed to this wraith brick, because it's going to take way more than the points it's worth based off how durable it is. In the orcs, style of play is, like I always like to encourage intermediate players or new players, is you fail forward as an orc player. If I do fail to kill this Necron list or these Necron units, which orcs actually have great profiles into, so a lot of time you're actually going to be able to blitz through them with Gaz. But let's say I do fail. The idea is I have a ton of bodies, OC. You're not going to have enough activations and volume. You can get a little iffy if you try to full check the monolith, and if these wraiths are state somehow full potential, because they do fight respectively. I'm not, you don't have the pain boy, so you do have to deliver damage. But when he has double flash kits, the Breaka Boyz and Gaz plus the 20, and it starts getting really, really effective at killing just about anything on here, right? And the lethal is what's very important versus these shards. But if shards aren't fighting on objectives and they're just fighting outside and just standing in no man's land while you're holding the primary, this ends up really putting Necrons in the back foot, makes them commit even more, and at that point they're dealing on the trades, you're fighting on death, you're harding against nails. It feels absolutely great. Love that list to that style of Necrons. And I'm not sure if he could back with that warrior brick, which is very common, where they just didn't fall back and they're like, oops, and he's trying to be Hypercrypty up. Not really that likely. Then we go to his second matchup, which was the Darking, which was Gladius Task Force. So not the new rock stuff, but hey, it's still a very effective attachment. So we have Asriel, the Lieutenant Combi Weapon, followed by Lionel. Very clean, neat on the characters, which I personally like to see if I was a Space Marine player. Lieutenant, he's pretty nice, but that means they get more stuff. But let's see what else he got. Assault Intercessors, Assault Jump Pack, 3 units of Deathwing Knights. That's why you get so lean on the characters, right? Why? Because you need more of these Deathwing Knights. That's how you get more. Triple Land Speeder Vengeance. I'm gonna make sure I just look this up right now, because I already know what that thing does. Space Marine data sheets. I forgot whose video I was watching. Where they were like, with Space Marines have like 80 detachments or data sheets. I'm like, oh god, yeah. No wonder I don't remember everything. I'm gonna look it up anyways for the chat. So opponent shooting phase. destroying. Actually, I should just throw on the field on the screen. Why am I looking at it on the side? Sorry, guys. Can you see? I'm zooming. Moves 14, TA, 3 wounds, 5 up invuln, 10 wounds. I said 3 up save, 5 invuln, 10 wounds, 6 of leadership, 3 OC. Did this guy have the assault cannon on his? I'm gonna look. Ooh, sorry, Necron list. They were all plasma storm and heavy bolters. Okay, so he could either be D6 plus 1, 8 minus 2, 2, or D6 plus 1, 9 minus 3, 3. Pretty cool. Twin linked. Okay, so those are pretty effective until the boys. Dismount ability. Okay, so pretty much when you shoot, if you shoot within 6, when friendly adept as a starter units within 6 of this model is destroyed, this model can use the ability where it shoots back. So if you destroy a unit near it, this unit ends up shooting back at you. So you have 3 of those. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty effective into orcs too. Now, do we typically have guns? No, but this would that would be a good profile into a Tim unit of Flash Gitz. So right, so ideally you're like, okay, Flash Gitz, get out, pop ammo, lethal run, and you shoot, and then they're like, okay, whatever, dude, shoots back and actually can kind of pick up your Flash Gitz. So that's pretty intimidating, and you still have to do it though, right? That's what I'm saying. As an orc player, still make the right choices because the Flash Gitz are leading the way and pushing through, so you can actually get into the contact targets that you want to and get past those screens, or just picking up like their stupid, scoring units, their chaff, early game. So that's still not going to deter you. In fact, you hope you could just shoot the land speeder itself and kill it. Then we go into the scout squad, 2 of them. So and he doesn't have a ton of units that are looking to get destroyed and then for you to shoot back anyway. So you're just taking that all day and then trying to kill us. But nice little units to have around the field for 120 points. Nonetheless, we've done the math, of course, on it. That Gaz does break the back of the Deathwing Knight. Now, this game is not easy because Lionel Johnson himself can go off, right? Lionel Johnson himself can end up just cutting through all the boys. But orcs, because of our fight on death, art as nails, and this becomes an OC game. This becomes of, like I said, you make contact on your terms. Now you need your mandos, right? This is where we always talk about mandos. When people say, well, then how would I interact with this? It's about just not letting them come in as not that easy, but that's why you need mandos, infiltration of some sort. You need to be able to push these guys further back, or once they do just full commit, say they walk it onto the table, there's no teleport and deep striking in, then it's all about making contact and killing both of these Deathwing Knight units on their turn. When it comes to Lionel Johnson, you can end up using your trash to charge him to stop him from getting in heroics. This isn't the Wrath of the Rock, so this guy's not additionally tough, and they're not going to get additional charges that are acting as heroics, which would be problematic, ish if you're going back into this. But nonetheless, I still think that just the amount of damage you get can still break the back of this list, and it typically does. And even if you don't kill everything, you end up just running away with the score, which is what it looks like here. He couldn't just run away to break 90, but he did run away to end up just offsetting and winning the game. So shout out to them. That was a pretty good list to come over, because those can be intimidating for most orc players when they're not used to that. Bunch of knights and fight first to Primarch and such. Then we go into this game, which is the Emperor's Children. So we have double Demon Prince Slanesh with wings. One of these dudes gets back up. I know that. I can look up the rest, but triple Lord Exalted. So you can kind of look at them like a Orc War Boss, or if you're familiar with a Chaos Lord, where they get 1 turn of go turn where they get additional attacks and they get to go full throttle and fight you better. And then Lucius the Eternal. Triple Infractor. So those are like the units, from what I understand. Or is it Torment? No, it is. You get the Infractors, I think, are the guys they get stuck to. So like little missling fighting guys. And then double Tormentors, double Rhinos, Mauler Fiend, followed by triple Noise Marine squads. So though I do have respect overall for what they could do in this match, in an orc matchup sometimes, because they do have like a cool, hey, if while I'm dying, I'm getting better at killing you. Their profiles are relatively effective into us. They can advance, shoot, and charge, take advantage of us with some speed, like initiative on us, and they like to play the transport game. But they simply run out of gas. They run out of juice when you're playing War Horde. You're managing your CP enough, and you're baiting the right, interactions, and they're all really susceptible to dying to all our profiles. So 95-point win there. I do think it's a respectable army, but once you start getting used to it, maybe the first time you play it or two, you're not familiar with it, they can kind of catch you off guard, put you on the back foot. Orcs don't really like that, but once you understand how they operate, it's not very favorable, but favorable with this kind of matchup because he's fast too, right? Our orc lives pretty fast at this Big Mek. So we're moving into his fourth matchup. Which was Astra Militarum, which is what I think these double Big Meks would be pretty sick. So we have Ursula Creed as the Warlord, 1 Cadian command squad, 2 Rogodoran commanders, and then a Tech Priest Engineer. Double Cadian, 1 Cadian shock troop, 1 Catachan unit, triple Khazarkin, 1 Krieg Engineer, 1 Tempestus Aquilon, double Atalan Rough Riders, Lehman Russ, and then double Toroxes. Favorable for us in infiltration. They do have scouting with these Khazarkin and such, but that's where you like having double Mandos, splitting them back, taking that space up. You don't want the guard to just sit in the firing lanes as you're staging. It's not that they reliably pop all your battle wagons, but the more tanks that get lined up, obviously put you offset, right? So one thing that I think players aren't really used to with when you're playing with orcs as well as the Mandos is just standing in the firing lanes, pre-measuring the enemy where they can even end up, filling up that firing lane so they can't run out and even shoot at your wagons in that case if you do end up going first in this. Not a lot of screens going on in this matchup either. And sometimes orc players will overestimate it on, well, I have to go all out and kill the tanks effectively. It's usually kill, a couple of the tanks. And once you start killing all his scoring, not letting him bring in his reserve, these Atalans, if somehow he wants to bring them back to life, for example, you want to keep them past that 50-way marker, right? Now, it seems like you would think this way as an orc, that they want to win just like you, as an I'll trade my body for points. The armies that do this very consistently, just like us, would be Tau, Tyranids, and Astra Militarum. So these are the armies where aggressive play is beneficiary to you. The more you sit back because you're scared to lose assets, means that they take ground, they start taking your assets, they're trading their bodies for points. So it's really best you get in there, start picking all these fights early, making the charges and making sure you're ending up on objectives, right? I know that's just funny. Sometimes I get so worried about killing that I will not charge. I'll charge stuff and not end up on primary, right? And Guard's one of those armies where you can't make that mistake because they do have respectable OC. And you can see he had an 82-point win there. So they have a lot of small arms fire for you. They'll pull mortal wounds, get synergizing with their orders, ability to improve their primary. They do have ability to knock it back on the score, which is you can see here, because they will trade all their bodies for that. So great job there, right? It's not about Gaz doesn't have anything that he needs to completely annihilate on this list like a great unclean one, right? He's not going to get his point cost for killing, so make sure he does for where he's staging up. Then we go on to his last matchup, which was Space Marines Black Templars, which Black Templars are getting a lot of love right now. They're making a big comeback. So triple Castellan, look crazy cheap that is. That's crazy cheap. 60 points. Outrageous. 1 Chaplain Grimaldus, 1 Emperor's Champion with Honor Virament, Lieutenant with Combi Weapon, and then double Marshal. So, pretty cheap characters, but it's a lot of characters. So using a lot of missiles here on this list. 3 units of Assault Intercessors. One of them is a big 10-man unit, a basic Intercessor squad, 1 basic Impulsor, 2 Repulsor Executioners, triple Sword Brethren, and then 1 Caladius Assassin. Very important for CP management, as we would know here, because we're trying to fight on death the most with all of this. Now, because he's only have this 1 transport as a dedicated transport, it doesn't mean he's not using obviously these repulsors as holding these little missile sword brethren squads. Of course, there's the option of I will entrap these transports and not allow these guys to disembark and just blow them up. But a repulsor isn't the same thing as like wrapping a rhino where you're just going to keep laying on the onslaught heavy Gatling cannons on you and such. But typically, this is a mission, and who ends up going first. One thing we're happy to see here as an orc player is no infiltrators again, which means we're taking up the space, which means a lot of the time the orc players then ending up able to kind of set the pace on what trades are happening, who's coming out first, right? If you expose your 10 flash kits, hey, 10 flash kits, here I go. You're gonna jump out the truck first and stand around the mid table. What you're gonna come get me? Well, you're just gonna kind of expose tanks on the line. Well, to get those tanks on the line, you're first get past those Mandos. Well, to get past those Mandos, you're gonna have to move up and shoot them away maybe, and orcs are gonna stage up, not get all the guns to pop the wagons. Wagons are gonna be safe, and then as they move up to pick their staging spots, Big Meks jump out, run through whatever garbage screens they have, boom, boom, start making contact, knocking people's teeth out, fighting on death, getting stuck in. Big proper scrap. But Peter pulled out on top there with a 92-point win. Nice to see when two melee armies end up making the scrap to the end for the big bang. So we have these guys banging it out. He collected his teeth with the Peter Hilbert. So double Big Meks, both with the drillers and custom mega blasters. Love to see the double Big Mek. Very uncommon. Gaz, pretty much unheard of until this point. So Peter leading the way. Let's go. Ghazghkull Thraka, double war bosses, 20 boys, one truck, double wagons with arcades. They had like cannons and such if you want to know about their weapons. I like zap guns just because it's faster. One Breaka Boyz unit with the war boss, double 10-man flash Gitz, two trucks, and then the Mandos. Of course, we had the Blitza Wagon fold up. One of the wagons had 20 boys, and then Gaz just sitting right there, primed and ready in the mid-table. So shout out to Peter Hilbert. Whoa! For the Orks finally winning a GT and getting stuck in. If you enjoyed the clip, check out the full video here. If you'd like to see more tactics, click here.
Let's get stuck in, lads!